preghiera, pace e luce nel Signore, da donare a chi è nel buio e non riesce a camminare. Tu precedi i nostri passi e con te ci fai danzare.
So good evening to everyone. First, I like to give thanks to the Lord for the honor and the blessing to be with you and to start this new project of the family camping, which we have worked on for a long time with Rose. Especially Rose has had a dream, and the dream has come true. And especially with a special gift, which is the weather, because it's something unexpected in this area of the world, as you know. It's just like a miracle. So we are very pleased to have you. We're very pleased to have the opportunity to share with the families and the beauty of the children, which is such an incredible gift, and also the enthusiasm and the joy. I think that this is the main ingredient that we will all take back home, the joy and the time that we spend together. And I hope that next year this can be at least double. We don't expect this to be a gigantic crowd, because we have to go step by step and learn how to do it and do it right. And the main thing is the faith that comes along with this, as we just experienced with Antonia and the teaching of the Eucharist, which is an extraordinary teaching, and I'm very, very proud of that and honored to be part of it, because this is what is lacking today. And you know that so many children that are Catholics are growing up without knowing anything about the faith, and they have a very weak catechesis and very poor religious education. And especially Catholic schools today, they have very bad religious education. So we know that this is a gift, and we hope that we can actually continue with this. So we want you to all pray together with us, so that we can continue this family camping, and next year we can have even a greater experience. And next year, please God, that we will have it at a time when there's vacations, because this year we didn't get the right time of the year. But still, you are here and you made it happen. So I'm going to ask the Holy Spirit for the words, so that we can share this moment of a reflection on the family. And I'm going to read to you whatever the Spirit leads us. I'm going to read from St. Luke 10:1. And it says, Jesus sends out the 70. After this, the Lord appointed 72 other disciples and sent them 2 by 2 ahead of him to every town and place where he himself was to go. And he said to them, the harvest is rich, but the workers are few. So you must ask the Lord of the harvest to send workers to his harvest. Courage! I am sending you like lambs among wolves. Set off without purse or bag or sandals, and do not stop at the homes of those you know. Whatever house you enter, first bless them, saying, peace to this house. If a friend of peace lives there, the peace shall rest upon that person. But if not, the blessing will return to you. Stay in that house, eating and drinking at their table, for the worker deserves to be paid. So do not move from house to house. The word of the Lord. So today is very difficult to speak about families, because we are being threatened, and we know that they are pretending to tell us that family is no longer a man and a woman, and family is no longer conceiving children the way God has given us conception. But you can be gay and have a same-sex marriage and then adopt a child, and then so many other things that are happening today. And with this, I don't mean to judge gay people or to judge what they do, because we are not to judge anybody. Only God can judge us. But one thing we can do is we know what we are, and we are a man and a woman, and a family is composed by a man and a woman, and children should come through this union of man and a woman. And then somebody else is trying to tell us otherwise, but not exactly what we are going to do and what we believe in. So people can pretend whatever they can pretend, but we are not going to change the truth. We're not going to change what we know. And it's as basic as that, because it's not about philosophies. And life is not a simple ideology. Life is a gift, and it's a gift from God. And God is not an idea. God is not a philosophy. God is the creator. And he created life with a purpose and a plan. And the plan that God has for life is a gift, and we are not to play with it. We are not to just manipulate it and try to make up something on our own of what he already done. And I think we have enough witnesses as to God's plan through the years, and God has manifested himself through the years to so many, and that's why we have scriptures, because this is God speaking to us through men, through human beings, but inspired by the Holy Spirit. And we have only one choice, and it is we believe or we don't believe, right? Because there's nothing else. There's nothing in between. There's no such a thing as a gray zone. We either is black or white with God, and there's no middle ground. So today we live a very threatening life in society, and to the point where it looks like the way we are going and the laws that are being passed all along around the world, it seems like we believers are going to end up living in communities. It looks more and more like that, because how can you raise children if you just leave them open and to be taught what the government is teaching? There are some horrifying laws where they're teaching children at schools things that are just incredible. You won't even believe it that they are teaching them, and they are. So I guess things like that could happen, but it doesn't mean that I am here to give you a message of doom and gloom. It's not that, because we, as Christians, we should be filled with hope, and we should hope that things will change. But we also have to have our feet on the ground and be realistic, and we know that the way it's going, it doesn't look like it's getting any better. Every time new laws are passed, and for some reason, and I don't know if people ask themselves about this, but I do. For some reason, there's a very strange gay agenda. Don't you notice that?
Yeah.
It's a big event that such and such country just legalized same-sex marriages, and it's a big event. It's front news and front lines, and it's just the biggest news. And they congratulate that country, and they get all kinds of benefits. And so there are a lot of things going on, a lot of forces against life, because same-sex marriages, what do they mean? They mean is like abortion. It's the same thing. They go along together. It goes against procreation. It goes against natural childhood, against the natural birth of life. So it is something that comes from the dark, and we don't want to sound like we are fanatical and we are here just as fundamentalists. But people that think the way we do, we are called fundamentalists today. Like fanatical, radical, and the reality is that we cannot let ourselves be intimidated. The truth is that it is not real that such a life is the one that God has given us. So I think that what we do when we get together, like we got together this week here, is what we need to do more. We need to do much more of this, to get families together that share the same faith and the same principles, same values, and share them with the children and the families so that we can strengthen each other. Because if we are not together, if we don't belong to communities, if we don't help each other, then the world is going to swallow us. See, there are many Catholics that are lukewarm and they are negotiating the faith. You notice all these politicians, a lot of them call themselves Catholics. You notice what just happened in Ireland. I mean, all of these guys in the parliament, they are Catholics supposedly, and they passed a horrifying law, and that's the way they've done it in many countries. And even in my own country, in Colombia, we have some guys there that are 100% Catholic supposedly, and they are passing horrible laws also. And so we need to gather together and strengthen the families, because you see scandals in the church with pedophiles, and you see scandals with all these horrible heresies and things that are happening in the church. But the question is, do you remember that it is not the church that is producing that? Those priests come from the families. See, so the product, the fruit of the families are those priests. The pedophiles, the ones that are doing these horrors in the church, they come from a family. And so what happens? Families are broken, families are dysfunctional, so that's why we produce these kind of fruits. So the church today, in a lot of places in the world, is a reflection of the world. It's the opposite now, because the church is supposed to be a reflection of God, not a reflection of the world. So the church today is like the world. So you go and see priests, they just behave like worldly people. They have the same philosophies and ideologies, and then people are getting along with them really well. They say, oh, Father such and such is so hip, he's so cool. He's just like us, he's just one of us. Of course, because he's worldly, right? So, obviously not all of them are like that, but I'm saying it's very common today to see that. So the church is today reflecting the world. And imagine, then we have no guidance, because we need the church to be reflecting God in order for us to have a tower of light, a light that guides us, because that's what the church is supposed to be. So what happens with the family? The family is the church. You see, everything begins in the family. If we think about Christianity began with the Holy Family of Nazareth. That's where the Christianity begins, Saint Joseph and Mary. That's Christianity. That's the nest of Christianity, the beginning of the church. So the church is the family. So if the family is broken and dysfunctional, the church is dysfunctional and broken. And that's why we have all these weak priests and weak nuns and weak Catholics in general, because they come from broken homes, dysfunctional families, and then the fruits are terrible. So that's why it's so important to understand that we need to help each other and to nourish the families, to support them, to back them up, and to have this idea of having a real marriage. Vocations for marriage are important. See, regardless of how liberal you may think you are in your way of thinking, when it comes down to a wife and a husband that are projecting and planning to have children, they better think about values, and they better think about morals. Otherwise, what kind of children are they going to have? What kind of marriage are they going to have if they don't have that? Those are basic principles. So I think that we have a freedom that God gave us, a free will, and also we have an incredibly precious creativity that God gave us, intelligence, and all these talents that God gave us, and we are free to use them whichever way we want. And it's extraordinary the ways we can function, as far as how deep we can get into life and how deep we can get into the emotions of investigating and being adventurous, as far as getting as far as we can to discover, whatever we are looking for in life. It's very important to do that, because we should not have religion as a limitation and religion as a handicap, as many people has, because a lot of people use religion practically as a guilt, as something that frames you in a way that you don't feel free to even think, because you think what you're thinking is not good and it's probably against God. A lot of people end up like that, like fanaticals, and a lot of people have the tendency to go into that direction when they are not the other side, which is the total liberal side. So we're talking about being sober and being prudent and being coherent. See, what we need to do as families, Catholic families, is to find the spot where we are normal people. You see, regular people, humans, plain human beings that are looking to have values, looking to have integrity, looking to have this desire to be good, this desire to be a better person every time. See, we are to grow into a better human being. That's our goal. Our goal is, I have to look back a year ago and I have to find out if I'm a better person today. Otherwise, I'm stuck. See, I'm not walking towards a realization. I'm not going into a realization that is going to be a successful one. See, imagine spending life being stuck in your weaknesses and stuck in all your bad tendencies, and you don't change, you don't progress into a goodness, into something better. You're not becoming a better person all the time. Then you are stuck. You are not going to become a better person. You're going to become a worse person all the time because you are dysfunctional. You are becoming a person that is stuck with self, and this is what the lack of God gives people. See, the absence of God in your heart won't let you progress as a human being, won't let you grow. You will be stuck because you will be stuck in selfishness and self-centeredness, and then you will not give a space for you to really understand how important it is to bow your head and to recognize your weaknesses and to let go of so much darkness that we carry. Because we carry a lot of things that we have to let go of. Some of it is inherited, some of it is just adopted through culture, and some of it is injected through education, and some of it is just a free will that we just go into things that are not good, and then we end up hurting ourselves and confusing ourselves and becoming something we are not supposed to. And our characters and our personalities are tampered with. They are contaminated and we don't even know. See, we are acting as a strange human being and we don't even notice how strange we became. So when we have a conscience that is open to God, we have the gift of being humble. And being humble is being able to bow your head and to listen, to have ears to listen, to be able to look at somebody else and admit that that person could be very important in your life if you're just humble. See, how many people could have given you so much in your life and you stopped them because you were so much into yourself. So you didn't give a chance to people to express themselves and give you what God sent you to give you to them. And sometimes it's a beggar in the street. Sometimes it's a stranger in a bus. Sometimes it's someone you meet in an airplane. But if you're humble and open and you just do away with pride, then the gifts of life are going to flow to you, towards you. And this is so important to understand, because what happens with this world we live in today that is so superficial, so materialistic, is that we are so alienated, so fenced in, that we don't let in things that are coming from the left field, so to say, which is how God comes in. See, because we are selective, and we are only letting in what is convenient to us, what is profitable, what is attractive, seductive, or whatever we are looking for, that's what we allow. The rest, we just close. We just don't let in. And this is what brings in all the blockage that we are building in order to grow as human beings, as God wants us to grow. See, at the end of this life, which could be any moment now, the end of our lives, when is it? When is the end of our lives? We don't know. Could be today. See, the only thing you take with you is the growth that you achieve. How much did you grow? And what kind of growth? It's not intellectual growth. It's just spiritual, inner self. That's what counts. See, I always say the biggest spiritual exercise you can ever do is to think about how will you turn out to be if you die today? What is it going to be of your soul? See, your soul is going to be exactly what is inside you right now. What is it? Are you filled with fears or ambitions or anxieties or emptiness, or you're so greedy all you want is material things, or you are filled with attachments to people, to things, to ideas? What kind of life is your inner life? And that's what your soul is going to end up being like. That's it, There are so many ghosts hanging out. You will be surprised if you could see one, because they are real. And they are not ghosts, they are souls. They call them ghosts, but they are souls, wandering souls. A lot of souls that didn't make it, didn't grow. They didn't have a chance to go up. We have to get out of here. See, one thing we have to learn, and don't forget ever, is that this is not home. This is just the beginning. Step one, the material world. We have to get out of here. And we have to get out of here, and the one that is going to fly out of here is what is inside, our soul. This is the one that has to grow wings. And we can't forget that. We get so busy with this material life that we forget we have a spirit, we have a soul. And the soul needs to be strengthened, the soul needs to be nourished, and the soul needs to be ready to take off any time. It could be today when God called you. And you have to be able to fly out, to go out of here. And the only way you can go out of here is if you overcome this here. If you learn what you have to learn here. You see, what is it that we have to learn here? It's a very basic lesson, and probably is misused in many ways. But what we have to learn here is about love. See, everything takes love. Because if I want to be patient, tolerant, compassionate, giving, forgiving, in many areas of love, we see so many virtues that involve love. But all of them have to be in our hearts, ready to be nourished and to bring them into a level where we can grow wings. So at the end of this life, we can take off. Otherwise, we will have to learn about love without this physical body. I tell you, this is very difficult to do. That's why we have a lot of souls still here when they're not supposed to be here, still learning about the material world because they didn't do it when they had the matter, when they had the body. And now they have to learn it in the spiritual world. It's very slow, and their conscience is not very happy about that. It's very slow, and it's slowly going up into the realization where they were supposed to go straight from here. And we have been given the opportunity to do it. See, we have an incredible gift, which is our Catholic faith, the Church of God. I always say that because a lot of people have a hard time understanding that this is actually the only church. And that doesn't mean that the rest of the people are going to go to hell. It's not that. It's that we have the greatest responsibility, and we are responsible for the rest of humanity. See? That is the truth. So God will judge us on love, not on religions, for sure. When we die, we go before the tribunal of Jesus instantaneously at the moment of dying. Why instantaneously? Because the soul enters the eternal presence of God, which is the spiritual realm. And then when you enter the spiritual realm, you enter outside time and space. Therefore, you are instantaneously in front of Jesus, in front of the judge. And then your whole experience of life is there in front of you in an instant, because you will have a pure intellect. That means you will have all the wisdom that we are lacking now because of the flesh that is deaf, mute, and separated from the spirit, from the wisdom of the spirit. So once you come out of the body, your soul will be in the fullness of the truth. So therefore, what you learn here now is going to be expressed at that moment, and you know what you're lacking. So that's what you need to get. So how do you get there in order to transcend into the spiritual realm and make it into the fullness of the light? By growing now. See, and the way we grow now is by being humble and obedient to the Spirit. How do you do that? You submit the body, the flesh, to the Spirit, but you have to be coherent. God gave us this material world for us to enjoy it, and also to use it for our growth. That's why God gave us this opportunity of the material world. So the material world is all good, only that we can do bad with it and turn it into something bad. But it's totally good, the material world. That's why there is nothing wrong with money. There is nothing wrong with success in this world. There's nothing wrong with achieving any kind of goal that you can dream of to achieve. There's nothing wrong with that. God is in everything. But the question is, why are you doing it? What for? What are you going to get out of that? That's the question. See, you got to have a good direction. You got to have a good reason. You got to be focused into something that is good. As long as you are focusing on something that is good, then you are focusing on love. And everything you do, regardless of what it is, regardless. Because life, this is a school of souls. And you can pick the lessons. You can choose and pick the lessons. We are free to choose whatever we want. This is like a big, incredible big workshop. And we pick items from everywhere, and we can make what we want with it. Because God gave us all the elements. That's why we have creativity. We have all these talents. And it's fascinating to see people, what they can do with all of this and what they have done through the years. But a lot of people destroy themselves with what they do. And so the teaching of the Spirit is to lead us into being creative, but to learn the lesson of love, so that our soul is being nourished and we are growing spiritually in a way that we become very productive and become better human beings all the time. And that's what counts, really. So the family has to be centered on that and focus on that. How will you guide your children towards their vocations? See, most people are guided professionally to a profession, but not to a vocation. And a lot of people have the profession that they didn't have a vocation for. So imagine that. There are a lot of wealthy people out there that are totally frustrated. They are not happy. They have a lot of money, but they are not happy. Why? Because what they have is not their vocation. See? It's only material achievement, some kind of temporary joy, but it's not a vocation. So therefore, there is not a realization. And the soul, the spirit is not growing. So that person is not free. That's very simple. So families are very important for this. Because if you have a family, and the family is a family that believes in God and is following God, then that family is a nest, so that the vocations of the children can flourish, can bloom in the right direction, in the garden of God, the garden of goodness. And that's how will a child possibly be able to discern a vocation that the family is dysfunctional. There's no way. If God is not in the family, there's no way a child could be inspired to find out what he wants or what she wants. And that's as simple as that, So that's why we have to defend the family more than ever. So this is a great opportunity for us to say that this family camping is a blessing from God. Is a way of God talking to us. We should promote it. We should believe in this. And we should do a lot of this, because it is the future for us. If we don't do a lot of this, then the church is going to be in more and more trouble. Because if we don't do community work, if we don't get the families together, if we don't promote family, marriage, if we don't promote these type of values among us, then who's going to do it? See? Most people are too busy with themselves. Nobody has time for this. But look how great it is to be here and see this drama being played by the children and the mothers and the fathers and all of these simple acts, but they are very big spiritually. Why? Because these children will never forget that. And then they will never forget the Blessed Sacrament and the monstrance and the story of Jesus in the Eucharist. They will never forget those things. And that is the ground, the foundation. See, we have to build on top of that. And that is what we are about. So I say, please God, that we can do a lot of this. And I thank God for all of you. And I know that each one of us, and I know about this for sure, I know that each one of us is a very important person in this life. Each one of us, whether we believe it or not. Why? Because we are able to bring a lot of people into God, into salvation, and that is the only thing that really matters. See, when you die, the only thing that really counts is how many people met God because of you. The rest is worthless. Whatever you do in this life is important because it's building yourself into a person, right? It's important. But what is important is what that person became. That's what is important. So what did you come up with? At the end of this life, who are you? So the most important thing is how much love did you have that you gave people the best thing you could give. And what is the best thing you can give people? God is the only thing that is good. So you can give people money, you can give people counseling, and a lot of stuff you can give people. See, and all of that could be good. But the best thing you can give people is God. Because with God, you can deal with the most incredible things in your life. If you have God, you can handle it. You are able to manage. See, sometimes you have money, and you have friends, and you have things around you, and you're not able to manage because it's not enough. Because then you don't have the mental health, you probably don't have the inner health, and so what good does it do to have all of the things I mentioned? It's not good. So if you have God, then you have everything. And that is the most important thing. You lose God, you lose everything. You don't have anything. You're empty. And then regardless of what you get, you're not going to have enough. Because then one day you're going to lack mental health, One day you're going to lack inner peace. One day you're going to be a wreck. See, without God we cannot survive. So I'm going to close this reflection with a reading, wherever the Spirit leads us. And I'm going to read to you from 1 Corinthians 14:7. And it says, when someone plays the flute or harp or any musical instrument, if there are not tones and notes, who will recognize the tune? And if the bugle call is not clear, who will get ready for battle? The same with you. If your words are not understood, who will know what is said? You will be talking to the moon. There are many languages in the world, and each of them has meaning. But if I cannot find any meaning in what is said, I become a foreigner to the speaker, and the speaker to me. As you set your heart on spiritual gifts, be eager to build the church, and you will receive abundantly. Because of this, those who speak in tongues should ask God for the ability to explain what they say. So let's praise God for this opportunity we have to be here, and let's also ask God to give us the opportunity to do it many more times. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.